3 hours and 40 minutes in, I checked the GPS and felt the day tilt. Pine needles held the heat from noon. Resin hung sweet in the air. Somewhere beyond the ridge, a creek threw its voice against stones. I had led survival trainings in this range for 8 years. I could follow these trails blindfolded, in rain, in snow, by stars alone. The display told me we were half a mile northwest of where we should be. A small error. The kind that doesn't matter until it does. I called a halt. Packs thumped earth. Gabriel was already crouched at a fallen log, fingertip tracing a soft print. Bear, 3 days old, moving east for water. He had the eyes of someone who listens with more than ears. Sky rolled her shoulders and adjusted her straps. She moved like someone who had paid for her lessons in blisters years ago. Tim pushed his glasses up, phone out of habit in his hand even though there was no signal, documenting everything he should have been learning with his hands. Terry dabbed his forehead with a neat handkerchief, office cloth among pine pitch, and Bella leaned into his shoulder, tired but trying to hide it. Determination and poor footwear are a bad match, but sometimes they outwork perfect gear. I spread the paper map on a trunk and laid the GPS over it. Numbers don't care about pride. The junction I swore we'd passed wasn't behind us because we hadn't reached it at all. The trail under our boots had felt right, packed, honest, but the forest breeds convincing liars. Deer trace their own highways. People follow the confidence, not the compass. We backtrack a mile, I said, then northeast to camp. Adds an hour. Really? Gabriel glanced up. Trail seems pretty clear. That's the problem, I said. Bella's eyes moved like she was reading the trees for good news. Are we lost? We're not where we planned to be, I said. I know where we are and how to get back. Mostly true. The map and the land agreed. The fact that I'd let an unmarked path pass for the real one rested like a stone in my gut. Terry asked about the distance. I folded the map to speak with less wind in my voice. That's when Bella pointed left past a tangle of young pines. What's that? A corner line that didn't belong to trees. Dark, angular, man-made. I've learned the 3 rules of found buildings in the backcountry. If it looks sturdy, it might not be. If it looks abandoned, it might not be. If it looks like a story, it is one. Old cabin, Tim said, already drifting toward it. I wanted to pull us away. The Forest Service maps show no structure here. 8 years of loops and camps, and I have never seen roofline in this section. The rational brain writes this off as survey error or a forgotten lease. The older part of the brain says the ridge is wearing a mask. 5 minutes, I said, because they were moving, and my job is to make sure movement doesn't become regret. Quick look, then we go. Brush dragged our pant legs and drew sap on our sleeves. The house settled out of the trees as if stepping forward to meet us. Single-story, rough-cut logs, hand-milled planks silvered by years of weather. A porch with a heavy door on old iron. 2 windows opaque with accumulated seasons. No power lines, no pipe scars, built to resist more than storms. Who would live way out here? Bella asked. Someone who knew how, Gabriel said, circling the perimeter, testing foundation stones with his heel. It's solid. The door stood open the width of a palm. Old wood, thick as a cuff, swung on hinges that offered a creak but no fight. Rot hadn't won here. It smelled wrong inside. Not rot alone, the sweet, overripe edge of flowers left to drown in a vase. The main room surprised me with its volume. A stone hearth anchored the far wall. The table was heavy, honest work. A bookcase sagged with leather spines. Dust lay thick on flat surfaces, but not drifted in wild patches. Air moved. Someone, sometime, had been careful with their exits. Above the fireplace hung a painting in an ornate frame. A woman in white in a garden at the edge of dusk. The brushwork had patience and money. Her face had been dragged with a palette knife while the paint was wet, features erased into a single oval blur. It felt less like art and more like a refusal. This preservation is unreal, Sky murmured. Nothing chewed, nothing toppled. Tim ghosted a finger along book spines, reading titles with his skin. These are ancient. I mean, just look. Gabriel set a wooden box on the table. Porch, he said. There's a note. The paper had yellowed to tea, ink brown to iron. The handwriting belonged to someone who made loops the same way every time. When shadows dance and spirits call, seek the truth within these walls. Where light breaks through night's domain, the secret waits through joy and pain. Words are easier to carry than water. These rode cold down my back. We should leave, I said. The sentence tasted like I was arguing with the room. A sound answered me from outside. Not animal. Not human. Like metal sheet singing when you bend it too far, but alive. It clawed the air from low to a razor pitch and then cut off clean. Out, I said. Everyone out. Wood scraped. A chair toppled. Tim bumped the table. The box spilled photographs that flashed a lot of white collars and high waists before shivering to stillness again. We flooded the porch. I counted bodies the way you do when you've learned what not counting costs. 5, 6, with me. The forest presented its best neutrality. Tall trunks in their columns, understory stitching the seam lines, wind in the crowns, no alarm at all. Then the sound came again, closer. Not a call, a pressure. The skin on my arms prickled like I'd stepped in the shadow of something flying. Move, I said. We pushed for the gap we'd opened on the way in. Running becomes panic. Panic breaks ankles. I kept us at that fast walk edge. Skye matched my pace like she'd been practicing for this without knowing. Gabriel and Tim breathed behind us. Terry's breath went ragged quick. Bella made a sound I'm familiar with from day one clinics. Panic meeting lung. The forest felt heavier, shadows bending toward each other as if conferring. Branches snapped to our left, big wood breaking in a line that didn't care about the path of least resistance. Cole, Skye whispered, my name held like a lid. I raised my hand for stop. Heat came off the group in waves, another snap, closer. Whatever moved back there, didn't choose quiet. Predators like silence. This sounded like a decision to be heard. We run, I said. Stay on me, don't stop. We reached the main trail and spilled onto packed earth that had seen more boots than ours. Relief is loud. I told mine to hush because the snapping had closed the distance while we ran. Gabriel burst out breathing strong. Skye, steady. Tim stumbled clear, his bag thudding his hip with each step. Terry and Bella should have arrived on that same beat. Bella, I called. Terry! The forest swallowed my voice and stilled. Silence laid its palm over the whole ridge. No birds, no leaf work. Even the creek held its breath. Bella screamed. High, hurt, close. It cut off mid-breath like someone had pinched a wire. Bella! Terry shouted from the same patch of trees. I set my foot toward the sound and felt something wrong in the voice that followed. The words were right. The tone wore fear like a coat, but somewhere under the texture sat a calm that didn't match the moment. Terry, I called. Keep talking. Nothing. We have to go back, Gabriel said, already turning. Wait, I took his arm. My skin knew a rule before my mouth did. The voice came from the wrong direction. Bella should have been behind Tim. The sound was deeper in, toward the cabin. Help me. Bella's voice again, weak, frightened. I'm hurt. Gabriel pulled against my grip. She's injured. I know, I said, but she's also 50 yards in the wrong direction. Please, the voice said again, and changed mid-breath. Terry now with the same distance, same placement. Don't leave me. I can't find the trail. The air went colder. My brother's voice came next. Cole, Miguel called from the dark. I'm lost. Grief has a key you don't lend anyone. That voice had it. The same edge he carried when he needed a hand with something heavy. My legs went weak. Rational mind. Miguel has been dead 3 years. Body. Go get him. It called again with the old fear from 3 days before his fall. The part of me that failed him lived between those words. I let it talk and didn't move. It's not them, I said. Whatever is in there isn't them. Gabriel's jaw clenched. Tim's hands shook around the strap of his bag. Skye watched the trees like the trees were watching back. We're leaving, I said. The price stamped itself on the sentence as it left my mouth. Now. We moved. The forest let us think we had permission. Then Terry screamed, farther back now, raw and full, and cut off the same way. Gabriel tried to turn. I caught him. If we go for all of them and we don't come back. Or we keep the living alive. He didn't like it. Neither did I. The only thing I've ever hated more is writing letters to families. The canopy thickened and wrung out the light. I kept my headlamp in hand, but off. A beam can save you and betray you. Air shifted. Sky's breath caught. One step, Gabriel was at my shoulder. The next step, there was space where a person should be. No sound, no scuff, just absence. Gabriel? Tim's voice cracked on the second syllable. I swept the beam across the path. The pines received the light like they were used to doing that. Nothing else moved. My throat went dry as dust. We keep moving, I said, the leader voice I use when the slope goes bad. From the trees to our left, Gabriel's voice rose, bright with that curiosity he carried. Cole, over here. I found something. Perfect. If I hadn't watched him vanish, I would have believed him. Don't listen, I said. But don't. Water grew louder ahead. Willow Creek pulling us like a magnet that didn't care who it attracted. Tim's scream tore the trail in half behind us. When I turned, he wasn't there. Sky's eyes were hollow and clear. Just us, she said. Creek, I answered. Downstream. Behind us, the forest tuned itself to a chorus. Bella pleading, Terry calling my name, Gabriel saying he was lost, Tim begging, my brother asking why I left him. Every voice with the right catch, the right memory pinned under it like a leaf under glass. The riddle sat in my pocket like it had heat. Where light breaks through night's domain, a promise or an instruction. We pushed through the dark toward the sound of water. The creek's song came and went like something unsure of its own melody. When we reached the bank, the water ran clear over black stones, but it wasn't moving the right direction. The current bent uphill for a few feet before it straightened again. Moonlight caught on the wet rocks like frost. Sky crouched, touched the surface, then drew her fingers back fast. It's warm. I dipped my own hand in. She was right, lukewarm like a body. The air temperature had dropped, but the water carried heat from somewhere. Keep your light low, I said. If the riddle's right, maybe this is what it meant. We followed the bank east, where gaps in the trees let the moon through. Light did break the dark here, sharp beams from holes in the canopy painting silver bars across the moss. Every time we passed one, I felt something ease, then tighten again as soon as we stepped into shadow. Sky walked a few paces ahead. Her face caught the glow just long enough for me to see that she was still trying to solve this like a puzzle. That instinct keeps people alive until the forest starts setting the rules. A shape moved between trunks ahead. I raised my hand and she froze. The thing stepped into one of the moonbeams and I understood what it had taken from Gabriel. His body was there, or what it wanted me to see as his body. The outline was his height, his gear, his motion. But his face was unfinished, a smear that tried to remember him. Light hit it and it wavered like a reflection on disturbed water. Cole? The mouth shape asked. The tone was close, too close. Gabriel's voice underneath, but echoing through someone else's lungs. Why did you leave me? I forced the headlamp on full power and aimed for its chest. The beam struck and the thing flinched, not back, but apart. The image broke into gray strands of mist that recoiled from the light like smoke in a gust. A sound burst out of it, halfway between a shriek and that same metal-torn cry we'd heard before. Then it was gone. Sky's breath rattled. Light breaks through night's domain, she said softly. That's it. It can't stand it. I nodded, though part of me hated the logic. Creatures that fear light don't vanish. They wait for it to fail. We moved again, keeping the beams sweeping over trunks and brush. Every few seconds, I caught glimpses of faces, Terry, Bella, Tim, half-formed and waiting at the edge of the light. Each time I blinked, they slipped back into dark. Sky whispered, "Do you think they're still?" No. I didn't want to lie. I think whatever's wearing them wants us to look. A low hum began around us, deep enough to vibrate in the chest. It pulsed through the trees, steady as a heartbeat. The ground under our boots softened, earth giving way to a bed of needles thick as ash. The scent of resin and something sweeter, honeysuckle maybe, grew until it was hard to breathe. Then the forest opened again and we stepped into the clearing we'd left hours ago. The cabin waited, exactly where it had been, only the door stood wide now, and light. Warm, flickering light spilled out across the porch. Sky whispered, It wants us to come back. No, I said. It's showing us it can open the door without hands. But there was something else in that light. Movement. A shadow pacing behind the windows. My mind tried to find comfort in logic, reflection, trick of the flame, shifting air. The rest of me knew it wasn't any of those. Cole, it called again in my brother's voice, softer now, like it understood what I missed about him. You never came back for me. Every instinct screamed to run, yet I stepped forward. Guilt is stronger than fear. The boards groaned under my boots. The threshold smelled like cedar smoke and something older, copper sweet. Sky grabbed my sleeve. Don't, that's not your brother. I said, I know. Inside, the hearth burned bright but made no heat. The painting above it had changed. The faceless woman now stood in a forest clearing, one hand raised, and the blur of her face pointed directly at the door. Beneath her, new words had appeared on the frame, burned into the wood. Don't answer when they know your name. Behind us, something stepped onto the porch. The same slow creak we'd heard hours before, deliberate and heavy, testing the boards for noise. Sky's lamp beam caught the doorway and stopped. The shape there filled it completely. No face, only the faint suggestion of one pressed beneath translucent skin, like a drowning man's last look through ice. Its mouth opened wide and poured every stolen voice back at once. Bella's sob, Terry's plea, my brother's whisper, all layered into a single howl that made my knees go weak. Light! Sky shouted. I snapped the headlamp to full beam and stepped into it, flooding the room with white. The figure recoiled, shrieking in that metallic pitch. Smoke boiled from its shoulders. The beam cut lines through it like heat through fog. Then it burst apart, scattering into the rafters, fading toward the dark corners. For a moment, the silence after felt too empty. Then came the faintest sound, distant but sure. Voices, real, human voices. Search team radios crackling across the ridge. Sky sagged against the wall, crying without sound. We move now. Don't look back. We pushed out into the night. The forest still hummed, quieter now, like it was watching. The path straightened after 100 yards, stones underfoot firm again. My GPS blinked back to life. The map put us exactly where we should have been before we ever turned wrong. Behind us, through the trees, the glow of the cabin light flickered once, then died. We didn't stop until the rescue lights found us at dawn. Later, when the rangers asked how far we'd gone off trail, I told them less than a mile. They looked confused. Nothing like that exists within 10. No structure, no record, no ruins. But when I emptied my pack that night, the folded note lay at the bottom, crisp as if freshly written, and beneath it, something else. A smear of gray ash that smelled faintly of burned cedar and sweet, dying flowers. Sky asked me once if I thought the others were still out there. I told her the truth I can live with. The forest doesn't take everyone. It just keeps what listens too long.